Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Ken Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, where we saw the Nasdaq outperform and notch its fourth straight day of gains, Ken.
Yeah, lots of large cap tech outperforming in the Nasdaq 100 today. We had the Nasdaq composite close above its 50-day moving average. Indexes closed near highs. Pretty optimistic about maybe a tame inflation report tomorrow. We'll see. Three stocks we're going to watch today. Inspire Medical. This is a sleep apnea giant, sort of building a better mousetrap here to treat sleep apnea. INSP is the ticker there. Also Terex, tracked in the same industry group as Caterpillar, TEX, and finally Axon Enterprise, formerly known as Taser. The symbol is AXON.
Looking forward to taking a closer look at those three names. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. So the Nasdaq outperforming today with a gain of 1.8% in the market, followed by the S&P 500 up 1.3% today. And then we had the Russell 2000, which tracks small caps, up 1%, and the Dow up 0.8% today. So some clear outperformance here by the Nasdaq. And like you said, Ken, getting above a key technical level today, but I think the real test will be to see the reaction of tomorrow's CPI reports. We can't get too excited just yet.
Can't get too excited. You just don't know how the market is going to react. Inflation is expected to cool like it did in, expected to cool for the current reading like it did last month. So it's pretty good feeling out there that inflation is coming down. The concern is, how quickly is it going to come down, and how much the Fed is going to have to keep their federal funds rate high for an extended period of time before it pivots and starts to lower rates. But I'll tell you what, we found the sign of strength that we were looking for last week in the Nasdaq on Friday with a big percentage gain in higher volume. That was an unequivocal accumulation day. We had another accumulation day today, 4 days into the rally attempt here. So close above the 50-day moving average. Volume was higher than the prior session, so almost felt like a subsequent follow-through day. Again, all this happening before a pretty critical important report on inflation tomorrow.
Right, and the reason why it's viewed as critical is past reactions in the market to this report. We could get a favorable reading, but it's really all about that reaction. So seems like, Ken, we should expect, or at least potentially could expect volatility in tomorrow's session. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the market really wants to see a big beat. So we know that inflation is gonna cool, but if it cools a lot more than expected, I mean that could bring in more buyers into the market here. But for the Nasdaq composite, I think it's definitely a big deal that it closed above its 50-day moving average. You can see that downward sloping 200-day line, is looms large as a resistance level, and you have that recent high of 11,571. So we'll see how the market reacts tomorrow. The action in growth stocks still, kind of tepid at best. We've seen a lot of growth stocks kind of rallying strong in the morning and then coming in, falling off highs in the afternoon. So still some selling there. But not too bad. I mean, the growth screens are starting to look a little better. So we'll see.
Okay, and let's take a look at the other major indexes as well to see where they stack up versus key technical levels. So the S&P getting close to that 200-day line and that 4,000 level. Of course, we're keeping a very close watch on this trend line that goes all the way back to the highs. And I know, Ken, you're also keeping a look at that mid-December high as well for the S&P and the other major indexes.
Yeah, definitely. We go back to the daily chart, and even David Ryan, who's a guest every Tuesday on IBD Live, he referenced. He was talking about the SPY, but he mentioned that 410 level as a place. I mean, if the S&P were to get above its 200-day moving average, will it be able to break through that recent high of 4,100? So, but again, this was an accumulation day for the Nasdaq, because just like we saw higher volume on the Nasdaq, we also saw higher volume on the NYSE. So it was an accumulation day for the S&P 500 as well, and that's what you want to see. These higher volume gains, and if we can keep distribution or higher volume declines, limited, it does bode well for this new rally.
And let's also take a look at the Dow, because it was really the big outperformer last fall. So it's been able to hold above its 200-day line, and now getting right back to that 34,000 level, which is an area we've seen some congestion and resistance previously.
Yeah, I mean it's got some overhead supply issues, just like the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. Is it going to be able to break through this 34,000 level? Is institutional money going to start to come in from the sidelines? If we get this tame reading on inflation. So like I said, overall, I think if you've been buying stocks recently, probably getting some pretty good feedback because we were in a market tide that is flowing somewhat positive. So hopefully you're starting to make some headway with new purchases, and that's always a good sign. But market isn't out of the woods yet. But two accumulation days and 4 trading sessions, I think is good news for the bulls.
Yeah, we'll take it. And let's also take a look at the Russell 2000. Here's IWM getting back above its 200-day line. It's had some trouble there before, November, December, also in that July, August area as well. So it's getting awfully close to potentially a key crossroads here for all of the major indexes. Are we going to hit that resistance? Is this just a short-term rally, or can we really see this develop into something more?
Yeah, I mean, we just looked at the S&P 500. That's very close to breaking out of a downtrend here, and the IWM probably even a little closer. I mean, you can just draw that trend line from 201 down to down to where it's trading now, and it's it's right there. So we will see if this economic data tomorrow is going to bring some more buyers in from the sidelines. 4 straight gains for the IWM, 4 straight gains for the Nasdaq. I think year to date the Nasdaq's already up something like 5%, maybe a little more.
Yeah, and I know something that we'll be talking about on IBD Live tomorrow morning is how to handle the CPI report. What should you be doing with your portfolio exposure? How do you get involved in the market? Is it an index ETF, leveraged or maybe not? What pockets of strength are we seeing in terms of individual stocks? The team's going to break down all of that for you coming up tomorrow morning on IBD Live. So really looking forward to tomorrow's show on what could be a key day for the market in either direction. So we'll have to see what tomorrow brings. Before we take a look at those 3 stocks, we wanted to actually not XLE. I'm so used to typing that. It's muscle memory. But we actually want to take a look at XLF today with bank earnings looming large towards the end of the week, Ken.
Oh, yeah. We've got a lot of bank earnings reports due on Friday. Wells Fargo is there, JP Morgan, and these are components of the XLF. I mean, this is a pretty good technical setup here. Really not seeing major signs of accumulation here as XLF has moved from that 33 level. Lots of kind of low volume gains. That's not helping its accumulation distribution rating. That said, it is nicely above that 35 level, not that far from that recent high of 36.49. So this is definitely a breakout candidate. It just depends on what these bank earnings reports are going to look like on Friday, and then we've got next week is still pretty quiet in terms of earnings, but we've got more financials next week as well. So it's really the early part of earnings season is all about financial earnings reports.
That it is. And I know ITB is also on your radar, Ken. This home construction ETF had a pretty solid day today and got nicely above 65. Pretty strong close too, looks like.
Yeah, I mean, you draw the line there, and 65 looks like a legitimate pivot. Even if you go to the weekly chart, I mean, it really just looks like a cup with handle base. So with the 65.10 entry, and ITB at 65.81. Doesn't feel to me like you'd be chasing it up here, but the home builders have been a nice pocket of strength in the market, and there's a lot of home builders acting well, and just performing very well. So it could be a nice pocket of leadership in 2023.
Yeah, really since October, seeing this relative strength line pick up in a notable way. And now let's take a look at some individual names. We've got INSP, Inspire Medical, in the medical products group. Like you said, a sleep apnea stock here, pulling back in a very orderly fashion, it looks like.
Yeah, and this is sleep apnea, and they do minimally invasive solutions to treat sleep apnea. So there's still a lot of people out there that wear this real clunky headgear to treat sleep apnea, but this looks like a better mousetrap, and you can see the revenue growth has been very, very good in recent quarters. It's not profitable yet, but the company has been spending a lot of money opening up new implant centers where they insert these minimally invasive devices to treat sleep apnea. Really good volume when this stock broke out, and volume was very, very heavy, and now it's just making a first pullback to the 10-week moving average here. So, 2 straight weekly declines, another weekly decline taking shape this week. I would like to see a nice bounce off this support level, but there's a lot to like about this stock. Again, the fact that it's not profitable, they're still spending money to expand, so that's excusable. They do have the big revenue growth, and if we look at the fund sponsorship block, it does have excellent mutual fund ownership. So lots of top performing growth funds own a position here. So good one to watch.
Yes, indeed. Next on our list, let's take a look at TEX. This is Terex, one that you've brought up on the show previously, Ken, up about 7.7% so far for the week. It's got volume behind the move. It's got the RS line blue dot. What's not to like here? Looks like a strong stock.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty solid. Like I said, it's tracked in the same industry group as Caterpillar. We have Caterpillar in the leaderboard portfolio, but this is really an impressive group peer of Caterpillar. The issue here is it was a solid breakout today. It did close off highs a little bit. Good volume today, but here's a situation where you're looking at a stock that's run up a lot over the past 4 sessions, and even though it might still look like it's in that buy zone from that 46-47 pivot, I think you almost want to just wait for a little pullback here and not chase it after 4 straight up days. But that said, you can see the blue dot, relative strength line in new high ground, and pretty good price and volume trends. As the stock earlier several weeks ago, as it was approaching the $40 level, there was a lot of volume, and now it's just been kind of drifting lower and trading sideways, and mostly light volume, but good volume as the stock is breaking out. So another good name in this group.
Right, we've been training ourselves over the last year plus to look for those earlier entries versus waiting for the breakouts. We're making sure we're avoiding buying stocks that are getting too extended. Ken, if we do see the market continuing to gain strength, starting with tomorrow potentially, and if all of the major indexes can get above and stay above that 200-day line, do you think that we could see breakouts start working again?
Yeah, I mean, I would suspect, if we do get a positive response and a really strong open tomorrow, I would suspect that our growth screens like the MarketSmith Growth 250 in particular should at least start showing some actionable stocks. I wouldn't be surprised, but we'll have to see. The IBD 50, just because it's populated with high octane growth stocks, that's been struggling, but that's another stock screen where if we get a positive response to the data tomorrow, wouldn't be surprised to see growth stocks starting to come back to life. That's really the lifeblood of any new bull market, and growth stocks have been lagging quite a bit. We're starting to see signs of life, but I mentioned today, just like a name like Celsius, just a great growth stock. This one surged above its 50-day moving average, and actually the close didn't look too bad, because this stock was it surged early and then it came down, but ended up having a decent close. So, growth stocks starting to look a little better, and we'll see if they participate if we get a good update tomorrow.
Great. And I should have saved that for last, that question, but we still need to look at Axon. This still looks like it could be in that early entry category, although Monday does seem like it would have been the best day to strike here. But it doesn't feel extended, Ken.
No, it doesn't. It's just finding support where it should at its 50-day moving average. I like the look of the weekly chart as well. I mean, you got a nice blue up week taking shape this week. It looks like weekly volume is going to be nicely higher from the prior week. So lots of good things going on at Axon. They're a lot more than just a company that makes tasers. They do a lot of body worn camera and should be a beneficiary of increased government spending for public safety. I think it was Credit Suisse earlier this week on Tuesday came out with a pretty good report saying that the company is going to be raising prices, and they're still well positioned for growth. You do have a big estimate next year for 2023 with annual earnings expected to jump about 34%. So that's probably taking into account increased demand for the company's products. So it's in a good technical setup here, and really like the action at the 10-week line.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ken, for all of your analysis today, and everyone for tuning in. We'll be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live. You don't want to miss it. Potentially a pretty big day in the market. We'll have to see what cards we get with the CPI report and the market's reaction. We'll be there with you every step of the way. Investors.com/IBD Live for the details. We'll see you there, and we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.